Espera aí que eu começo. Prepara. Nossa, que bodega. Eu vou. E aí, gente, como é que vocês estão? É de boa? Live gravada? Like. Pra live. 8h30 até a meia-noite. Ok, YouTube de famosão, mané. Tamo indo. Estamos trabalhando pra isso. Mano, esse jogo dá muito medo, mano. No capítulo 6, eu acho. Deixa eu ver. Capítulo 5 ainda. Ai. Não sei quantos capítulos são. Vambora. Vem levar um susto, vem. Ai, eu tenho medo dessa bodega, lá, lá. Lá, 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 lá. Cagão, cara. Sou cagão. Acho que eu quero fazer isso aqui? Não. É. Entretenimento. Tenho medo do escuro, mas deixe. Ai, ai. Isso, João. Carrega mesmo. Carrega mais ligeiro. Desgraça. Ah, desgraça. Mano, olha que controlinho fodástico, velho. Que da hora, velho. Ele tem o baguete da hora. Bora. Deixa eu aumentar o volume aqui. Delícia. E aí, mano? Você tá bem, velho? O que eu tava fazendo mesmo? Eu não lembro. Não lembro o que eu tava fazendo já. E aí, irmão? Vamos conversar, vamos ser amigos. Meu Deus do céu. O que tava acontecendo? Deixa eu me situar. Ah, eu tava fugindo, entrei aqui e deu um videozinho, né? Aí eu fui ali, o cara tava mal.
This is insane.
Como
What
ele?
killed him?
Vou saber melhor. Não tenho nem ideia como é que ele morreu. Ah, velho. Jesus. Não desmaia não, irmão. Não desmaia não, não desmaia não. Claro, a porta. Isso, essa aqui que tá aberta mesmo. Vamos nela.
Damn! The
Não,
gas!
não, não.
Oh, my head.
Later. We need to move on.
Meu Deus, olha isso aqui, mano. Armadura. Porões e 2 dias. Legal. Tipo desaparecido. Capítulo 6. Pierce acordou num sanatório instalado nos porões. Ele conheceu a doutora Calden, uma amiga dele, que ajudou a escapar, vagueando pelos corredores desse lugar onde o Dr. Fuller reina supremo. Pierce conseguiu falar com um homem chamado Francis Saunders. Antes de morrer, bem diante do detetive, ele acusou Sarah. Luke. Pierce finalmente deixou o prédio. Maldito. Acompanhado de Bradley. Colden. Os companheiros da infortúnio decide se esconder na mansão Hall. Legal, 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 legal. Tô fudido, né? Tô fudido. Ih, lá vem o homem polvo. Você está me ouvindo, irmão?
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Tem pra essa bodega. Tá de...
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the
Yeah,
Silk.
surgeon.
He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
Dr.
Muitos
Fuller
cadáveres.
seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan.
Verdade.
And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever.
Mhm.
Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow.
Hey,
Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
Que medo. Ai, que de surto.
Sanders started screaming and convulsing.
Convulsing? That doesn't fit with his history.
Then his body got all crooked.
What in God's name? And you were alone with him?
He accused Sarah Hawkins of being the culprit.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased.
Mira, sabe
We don't know the
verdade.
bottom of it.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Eu vou ter que sair para fora. Vai eu. Preciso desse assunto. Meu Deus, isso aí vai dar muito ruim. Essas coisas, mano. Ai, caralho. Esses quadros são tudo vivo, velho. O andarilho.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders?
Oi.
I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here.
Well.
You know each other.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me.
Olha esses quadros.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
We had a short conversation and then I left. I don't know what happened after that.
Oh, I see. Mr. Pierce, you must forgive my audaciousness, but I've had practice of life in high society for over 30 years. Reading one's interlocutors, recognizing the politeness of a lie, are things that are taught very early to young girls from a good family. But your lie has nothing polite about it. It is crass, insulting, and dare I say, terribly suspicious. Try to understand my position. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Mrs. Sanders, I understand your grief and I extend my deepest condolences to you. But I had nothing to do with the death of your husband. I've just arrived on Darkwater. I'm investigating the death of the Hawkins family.
The death of the Hawkins family? You mean it was not an accident? This accursed island knows only tragedy after tragedy. You too would be advised to flee it like the plague.
Me ameaçou.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it,
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
Lá vou eu pra galeria monstruosa. Sai, moleque.
Did she really care for him after all?
A demanda o corpo do seu finado marido. Concorda em entregar-lhe o corpo no momento. O cara não quer entregar o corpo do marido.
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders'
A
lives.
fotografia desse ao lado dos Sanders. Tem alguma coisa naquele quadro. Lá vou eu viajar. Viajar pra ver o que tem aqui.
Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting?
Quadro
A house of artists.
Ai, esse é o quadro. Ai, caramba.
He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom?
Tem alguma coisa nesse quadro, acho que os bichos saem daqui. É um portal. Uma coisa que eu não vi ainda. É um portal essa boneca.
She despises Sarah Hawkins, but it's the
Sarah.
painting she truly hates. Why? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? The Shambler. I need to see it.
Tem bicho, né, nesse quadro, né? Eita. Eu sou morrendo e eu tocando piano. Sou vida louca. Aí eu... Dei a volta na casa.
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Lá vai ela. Oi? Tem um bicho aí?
A strange Amerindian pendant.
Amuleto antigo, provavelmente ameríndio. Pergunto-me, qual seria esse amuleto?
Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary. Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing.
Por favor, poupe-me na fala de... Ela não queria vender o quadro. É um
I
amuleto.
could use one of those.
Baleia e o bagalhau.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
I have a well-off client in Boston who heard about the death of Francis Sanders and wanted me to size up his estate before making an offer to his widow.
Nice story. Bad lie. Learn how to dupe, Detective. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say? Not now, sweetheart. I'd like to read this without some snoop looking over my shoulder.
Chave da galera. Enciclopédia de criaturas monstruosas e desconhecidas. Eita, prego. É como uma... Ai... Entendeu agora, né? Situação legal com o meu time. Andarilho dimensional. Moram conhecendo por meio das linhas ditadas a mim pelas leis. De criaturas místicas logo repositório cosmótico dimensional será visto como profano dentre os Ai. Eu bem. Você tá vendo nenhum andarilho ali, velho? Você viu o que essa bigorna aqui que é o andarilho? O andarilho dimensional vem em uma dimensão. Fica em constante contidão para fazer a jornada. Agradecer os habitantes, tome cuidado para os véus da sua dimensão. Se isso acontecesse a você ancore nas. Caraca, moleque. Vou deixar pra amanhã. Amanhã eu abro essa porta.